Welcome. So glad you tuned in to Leap of Faith as we explore Altos. Taken from the Latin Altos, meaning high, we feature top priority news stories. We join our editorial and digital teams at Camzel with trending stories from our local weekly Catholic newspaper, as well as Caribbean, Vatican, and global stories. Take the leap with us, hot off the press.
Good evening and welcome to Altos, our weekly Catholic news program done in collaboration with Trinity TV. Here's a look at this week's top stories. Thieves steal vital school supplies from the Roman Catholic primary school in La Brea. Altar servers get a lesson on the importance of service from Archbishop Gordon. The Vatican's Dicastery for Interreligious Dialogue highlights a path to peace in the Middle East in its Diwali message. And later on in the program, we talk with Minister Marvin Gonzalez, the Minister of Public Utilities, about the proposed increase in rates for T&Tech and, more importantly, the data breach at TSTT. But here's a look now at our top story. We begin this evening with the unfortunate news that thieves broke into the La Brea RC School on November 5th, stealing much-needed school supplies and stationery. It was the third Catholic primary school broken into within the past 5 weeks. The Todds Road RC was targeted on Saturday, October 21st, and the Carapo RC on Friday, October 7th. As Catholic News senior reporter Lara Pickford-Gordon tells us, the Catholic Education Board is very concerned about these break-ins.
Thieves got into the La Brea RC after 1 a.m. by climbing over a gate at the back of the school. Unknown to the guard on duty, 2 intruders entered through a classroom on the ground floor by removing a glass louver. They spent an hour ransacking cupboards and searching other areas. A report was made to the La Brea police. A desk fan, laptop, school supplies, and stationery were stolen. This was the third break-in at the school for the year, and first time bandits got inside. The Chief Executive Officer of the Catholic Education Board of Management, Sharon Mangru, responding to the robbery, said,
"It's very disheartening to see young people not much older than the children that we teach in our schools, taking away resources that are being used to create a better future for those children."
She urged principals and teachers not to be discouraged by the events and to continue providing a service to the young people. She had a recommendation for them.
Principals, I suggest that you contact the police in the area to get some practical tips on steps that you could take to minimize the risk of theft in your schools. And very importantly, engage the wider community in your school, the wider school community, so that we could hold hands, work together in developing the greatest asset for our nation, our children.
I am Lara Pickford-Gordon for Catholic News, Altos.
And as we approach the Christmas season, many non-governmental organizations will be stepping up their efforts to help the most vulnerable in society. And over the next few weeks, we here at Altos will be highlighting the work of these NGOs who go the distance to help those in need. We begin our focus this week on the Living Water community. For the past 48 years, this group has been ministering to the poor to light a fire of love in the hearts of God's people. The community was founded in 1975 by Rhonda Mengo and Rose Jackman with the aim of serving the less fortunate. Altos correspondent Clysha Best visited the Living Water community recently and prepared as they prepared their weekly packages for some of the most vulnerable in our society.
If you were asked to name one long-standing, reputable, charitable organization in Trinidad and Tobago, the first on your lips is likely to be the Living Water community. Come 2025, the community will be celebrating 50 years of providing food and assistance for the poor in this country. As they set upon the season of Christmas, which is one of their busiest in terms of donations and gift-giving, Assistant Director of the Living Water Community, Ms. Rosemary Scott, gave us some insights into their charitable work, how it has evolved from simply providing meals to providing the food items for households to create their own, and she expressed the continued need for funding, especially around this time of the year.
From the beginning of the community up until COVID, every Christmas day, we would have tents in our car park, tables and chairs, and we would bring the poor here for Christmas lunch. And we used to serve going up to 2,500 people. Now, what used to happen, of course, on those Christmas days, very often it would be just one or two people that would come from the family because they couldn't afford the taxi fare to bring everybody here, so they would take home the food for, for the rest of the family. So we give them a chicken, we do the pastels, and we give them the pastels, but we give them rice and peas and the ingredients to make their rice and peas pot. We give them macaroni and cheese and milk and eggs to make the macaroni pie. That sort of thing, so that they can together as a family make that Christmas meal at home and sit with their family and enjoy Christmas.
With fundraising events a frequent need for an organization such as theirs, Ms. Scott also spoke to us about what else is on the agenda to raise funds, and she even mentioned the other arms of the Living Water community.
So like tonight is the movie, Journey to Bethlehem. But throughout the year, we have what we call a little pop-up shop. And we try to do that maybe every 2 to 3 months because our fundraising has to continue on a regular basis. On the 2nd of December is our pop-up shop right here. We have both pastoral and social ministries. We have a home for abandoned and abused children. We have a home for young boys in crisis, young teens in crisis. We have a rehab center for both men and for women. Terminally ill hospice. We have an HIV/AIDS hospice. We have a place in San Fernando called Nazareth House in Marriott Street. We have a home for the aged in Sipario. So that's in the social ministry kind of bracket. And then from the pastoral ministry, we have prayer meetings, we have mass here every day in our center. We do Life in the Spirit seminars, we do retreats. So there's plenty going on.
In news from the Vatican, the Dicastery for the Doctrine of Faith has clarified situations under which transsexuals and homo-affective people can be administered the sacrament of baptism or participate in the sacrament of marriage. The document was signed by Cardinal Victor Manuel Fernandez, the prefect of the Dicastery, and approved by Pope Francis on October 31st. The Dicastery has confirmed that children of gay couples who have been born through surrogacy can be baptized in the Catholic Church, but with the proviso that the child will be brought up in the Catholic Church, as according to canon law. The exception may be where the partners are cohabitating as in a marriage. The Dicastery also affirmed that transsexual persons, adults, children, or adolescents can be baptized, provided they are well prepared and willing, and that there is no occasion of scandal. The Dicastery also noted that nothing currently existed in church doctrine which prevented a transsexual person from being a witness to marriage. A statue of Nuestra Señora de Luján, Our Lady of Luján, was enthroned on Sunday, November 5th at St. Mary's RC Church in Mucurapo. Our Lady of Luján is a celebrated 16th century statue of the Virgin Mary. She is the patroness of several Latin American countries, including Argentina, Uruguay, and Paraguay. Archbishop Charles Jason Gordon was the main celebrant at Holy Mass, with Papal Nuncio, Archbishop Santiago de Witt Guzman, and Parish Priest Father Emmanuel Pear concelebrating. The statue was acquired with the assistance of Argentinian Ambassador Marcelo Suarez Salvia, who was also present with his family. It is better to serve than be served. That was the message Archbishop Charles Jason Gordon gave to altar servers who assembled at the Cathedral of the Immaculate Conception on Sunday, November 5th for their annual Thanksgiving Mass. Andre Burton from the Catholic News brings us this report.
Reflecting on the Gospel, His Grace Archbishop Charles Jason Gordon warned of the consequences of putting oneself before others.
They might think a little too stush, too uppity. Like you think you's it. Too selfish. And that's what the reading is about.
Fathers Kenwin Sylvester and Eliza Mulimba concelebrated the Mass. Deacon Roland Joseph assisted. A few altar servers spoke to Altos about their important ministry.
What I like about our ministry is the unity within it, not just in our parish, but throughout other parishes.
Being an altar server is a big commitment because it's you're serving the Lord, and anytime someone doesn't come, you're there to step into their place. So I find it's a very big commitment to make, and I enjoy it a lot.
We are in the invisible hands of the church, and I enjoy helping and aiding the church to run smoothly and the mass to run smoothly.
The familiar bond that we have, I think that's really great among us.
I also agree. I think that, regardless of whether, it is like hard times or like good times, we always find a way to make it back to each other and, be a rock for each other, and we always journey together in the end. And there's just a togetherness that I can't even explain that, nobody could break and separate us.
And the bond gets stronger each and every time.
I agree.
As I always tell you all, the liturgy is the praise of the people of God. And for the liturgy to go well, that brings an immense joy, because that means they serve God well.
Yes.
And seeing young people serve God well, you can get nothing more great than that.
Amen.
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 I am Andre Burton, reporting for Catholic News, Altos.
The voices of our young altar servers, we thank them all for their service and their ministry. The Archdiocese of Port of Spain is getting ready for Vocations Awareness Week 2023, which runs from this Sunday, November 12th to Friday, November 17th. The week-long event is a collaborative effort of the Archdiocese's vocation team, Generation S, the Family Life and Youth Commissions. Father Kenwin Sylvester, who is part of the vocations team, said the aim is to get young people involved for the week. You can follow Generation S for more updates in the week ahead. In some Caribbean news, well-known and well-loved Monsignor Patrick Paba Anthony from St. Lucia has been awarded a Doctor of Letters from the University of the West Indies for his work as a cultural icon and activist. Paba, as he is fondly called by many, was ordained in 1972 in St. Lucia, and his ordination mass was the first in St. Lucia to include African drums, steel pan, and a guitar. Later, he was the first to use the St. Lucian Creole during Mass. We have more from the Catholic Television Broadcasting Service from St. Lucia.
A passionate advocate of the then current concept of New Caribbean personhood, he promoted Black awareness and Caribbean consciousness among groups of young people in St. Lucian parishes through the use of Caribbean-style worship songs and liturgical vestments, and the celebration of indigenous religious art on church murals.
Monsignor Anthony was a co-founder of the Conference on Theology in the Caribbean. He is a recipient of the St. Lucia Cross in 2000. He was named a National Cultural Hero in 2013 and declared a laureate in 2019 by the World Association for Christian Communication. The conferral ceremony takes place on Saturday, November 11th. We here at Altos extend much congratulations to Monsignor Paba. On Sunday, Trinidad and Tobago will celebrate Diwali. The Vatican's Dicastery for Interreligious Dialogue has extended festival Diwali greetings to the Hindu community globally. Here's more from Catholic News editor Raymond Sims.
The letter, which is released annually, focuses on peace building. There are instances, the message states, of contempt for human dignity, denial of fundamental rights and freedoms, and violence and aggression directed towards those who are ethnically, linguistically, and religiously diverse. Interreligious collaboration, the letter urges, is the path for peace. As believers, given our common convictions and a sense of shared responsibility for the welfare of humanity, may we, Christians and Hindus, sincerely endeavor to become artisans of peace. I am Raymond Sims for Catholic News, Altos.
And on behalf of all of us here at Altos, we wish our Hindu brothers and sisters Shubh Diwali. It's time now for us to take a short break, and when we come back after the break, we chat with Minister Marvin Gonzalez. We'll see you after the break. Thanks very much for staying with us. We hope you're able to get the answer to our trivia question today. We're lucky to have on set with us today Minister Marvin Gonzalez, a former policeman, an attorney at law, and currently the Minister of Public Utilities. Over the last week, he's been in the news cycle repeatedly, and he's here today to talk to us about TSTT, the data breach, as well as the implications of the proposed increase in rates at TNTech. Minister, thanks very much for coming and welcome.
Thank you very much, Neil, and thank you for inviting me to quite familiar territory for me.
Yes. Rough
I
week?
appreciate it.
Rough week or par for the course?
Par for the course.
Par for the course.
Yeah, it has been, quite challenging, but that is par for the course. In politics and in public life, we do have our ebbs and flows, depending on what is happening in any of the agencies under, our supervision. So it has been quite a challenging week in the utility sector, but one that can be quite enriching, and it all depends on how you process the challenges ahead.
We've had some challenges, as you say. We've had data breaches at the Office of the Attorney General, for instance. We had a data breach with Massey Stores, and now we have this huge TSTT leak where there are thousands of persons' information out in the public domain. What's the latest where that is concerned?
Well, the latest with that is the government has decided to conduct an independent inquiry so that we can understand the gravity of the breach, what in fact transpired, and what TSTT, as the leading telecommunications agency in Trinidad and Tobago, ought to do to prevent such a breach from taking place. So far, we have had quite a lot of conflicting information, and as you would be aware, and your viewers will be aware, and listeners, etc., initially, the extent and the gravity of the breach was not placed in the public domain for one reason or the other, which led to me making a statement in Parliament that customers' data was not in any way compromised, which of course would have been information that I had at my disposal,
and which is now being threatened to land you before the Privileges Committee.
Of course, and that's also par for the course. But subsequently, some further information came to fore, and as a result of that, I have decided to conduct an independent, thorough investigation into the matter, and in the public's interest, to let the people of Trinidad and Tobago understand what in fact took place, how it was managed when it was first detected, and what ought to be done to prevent this from happening again. So that investigation, the board is putting everything in place to conduct that investigation, and I will be monitoring it quite closely to ensure that it is independent, it is thorough, and that the appropriate action that ought to be taken based on recommendations will be taken in order to protect the public's interest.
But Minister, we have a history in this country of commissions of inquiries and committees and independent probes. And to quote a popular radio host, nothing comes out of it. How are we going to be guaranteed in any way this time that something will come out of this, that our data will in fact be protected going forward?
Well, I want to give the assurance tonight to the people of Trinidad and Tobago that this report is not going to be swept under the carpet. It is too serious a matter that can undermine the security and the stability of the country for this situation to be treated with lightly. And therefore, I think all of us stand to be potential victims of this cyber attack. As you rightly said, all state agencies, as well as private organizations, individuals, are prone to be attacked in this particular way. TSTT is the leading telecommunications agency in Trinidad and Tobago, which is the repository of so much data on hundreds of thousands of our citizens. And therefore, it is the public right to know what in fact took place and what must be done in order to protect such an occurrence from taking place in the future. So I want to give the assurance to the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago that the report is going to be made public insofar that it does not in any way jeopardize persons' privacy information, but the outcome of the investigation is going to be made public. Because
someone asked me, and they said, Neil, if the Prime Minister data is not safe, then what about me, a little poor person like me?
That's the point. Yeah. And I received information, and it has not been confirmed as yet, that my data was also breached. Other members of government, members of parliament, people in the business sector, ordinary citizens. So it is in our collective interest to get to the bottom of this and to ensure that we reduce the possibility of these things happening. I can tell you, not only with TSTT, a couple of months ago, TT Post was also the victim of a cyber attack. Just 2 days ago, I understand Digicel in Jamaica was also the victim of cyber attack. These things are happening all over Trinidad, all over the world.
And as a country then, because we're seeing a lot of state agencies being affected by this, as a country and as a government, what are we doing? What are we putting in place to either mitigate or prevent? Because it seems unpreventable.
Yeah.
But what is the government as a whole putting in place to ensure, to mitigate that these things, at least we minimize the embarrassment,
Yeah.
the potential implications?
What I can tell you is that coming out of the breach by TSTT, I have been in constant contact with the Minister of Digital Transformation. And we know we have a ministry that is charged with the responsibility to move Trinidad and Tobago into the digital age. And this matter has been receiving the highest priority of that ministry, especially coming out of the experience with the Attorney General's office. We have been working with the IDB, and they have been sourcing the best international experts around the country to ensure not only TSTT, not only the AG's office, but that the state sector, we operate on a platform where our ICT infrastructure is robust enough to prevent these things from happening. So we are talking to our experts internationally, and that is now going to be led by the Ministry of Digital Transformation, so that we can deal with it from a statewide, a sector-wide perspective to prevent these things from happening.
And immediately then, what is TSTT going to do differently?
Well, TSTT has already contacted its international experts. They have put systems in place to isolate the breach and to prevent an occurrence from happening. And my understanding, based on reports that have been passed to me, that these experts, they are on board and they have already put systems in place to prevent what is happening, whilst they are also trying to get to the bottom of it. Now, TSTT is conducting its own probe, but for the sake of this particular breach, I thought it was in the public's interest to have an independent investigation also take place alongside its internal investigation, so that the public can understand the gravity of what transpired.
Okay. And talking about the gravity of what the public is experiencing, let's switch to TNTech now. The RIC has proposed increased rates, increased electricity rates. It's the first time in, I think, 16 or 17 years that the RIC has, in fact, proposed increased rates. We understand
first time in 16 years it is allowed to do its work.
It is allowed to do its work. We understand that the matter is presently before the cabinet, without breaking the confidentiality of cabinet. Any update on where that is at the moment?
No. So the Prime Minister has decided to refer the matter to the Finance and General Purpose Committee, which is a subcommittee of the cabinet that looks at some of these issues and their financial implication, not only on the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, but on TNTech as a very vital public utility commission. So the matter is engaging the attention of the Finance and General Purpose Committee of the Cabinet, and as Minister of Public Utilities, I am gathering all the necessary information to put before the F&GP, so that members of Cabinet can have a full understanding as to how this can impact upon all of the customers at the various levels, not only domestic customers, but customers at the level of commercial, industrial, etc., so that we can make an informed decision. Remember, the government of Trinidad and Tobago, where rate reviews are concerned, the only agency that has the responsibility to set rates is the RIC. Why is this matter before the Cabinet? It is not that the RIC Act has given Cabinet the power to override what the RIC has recommended. The RIC has given its final determination, and that final determination has been passed to TNTech. However, before TNTech implements the rate as proposed and approved by the RIC, from a policy perspective, the matter is placed before the Cabinet, so that TNTech, being an agency that belongs to the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, will now have the blessing of the Cabinet before the rates are implemented in 2024, or as the case may be.
Okay, so I mean, piggybacking from that, it's not likely that we're going to see that increase in rates, any proposed increase in rates, before the end of this year.
Oh, it's not likely, because according to the Act, TNTech has to give a 21-day notice, and TNTech also has a lot of internal work to do on its systems before it can implement that. So they've asked for that timeline to look at what must be done internally and to comply with that 21-day statutory notice that must be given before the rates are implemented. So all of that is taking place, and I can give you the assurance that that cannot happen before the end of this
Before
current calendar year.
So concurrent with the proposed increase in 2024 will be the increase in the minimum wage.
Yes.
And there's a school of thought that the government has given in one hand and taken back in the other hand.
Yes, there is a school of thought, but I can also tell you that even before this proposed rate increase, the government has been spending over $70 million in electricity rebate policy, where consumers who consume over a certain amount, or there's a particular threshold, or if your bill is $300, your TNTech bill is $300 and below, you are given a 35% rebate. That is costing the government of Trinidad and Tobago over $70 million on an annual basis. The electricity rate is also subsidized under the ministry's utility assistance program, where vulnerable citizens, pensioners, etc., who for one reason or the other cannot pay their TNTech bill or cannot pay their water rate, that is also a program that targets those citizens, so that the government also spends millions of dollars in funding vulnerable citizens to have their utility bills paid.
So, but Minister, are those subsidies and those rebates, are those going to be taken away now?
No, it is not. They're going to continue to remain in place, but it has to be reviewed. And before we move on, Neil, we also have to look at the price of gas. TNTech, under the current rate structure, does not pay NGC for the gas that is consumed for the generation of electricity, to the extent now that the government has to foot a bill of $5 billion. So it is subsidized at the gas production level, which is hundreds of millions of dollars, billions of dollars. So there's a subsidy there that every single citizen and every single business, every single organization, church organization, non-profit organization benefit from. So it is subsidized at that level, and it is subsidized at the other end when the bill finally reaches customers under our utility assistance program, our bill rebate system, and what have you. And in addition to that, Trinidad and Tobago still enjoys the lowest rates of electricity, not only in the Caribbean, just second from Suriname, and even with the proposed rate increase by the RIC, when you look at the international benchmark, Trinidad still would be paying the lowest rates of electricity in the entire Caribbean and in the Western Hemisphere and internationally. But coming back to the question, the government now has to look at the subsidy structure for vulnerable citizens, because the rebate system that we pay, if your bill is $300 and below, you enjoy that 35% rebate. It is not a structured subsidy, because there are a lot of people like myself, if I have a property that gets a bill for $300 and below, I enjoy that. I am not entitled. I should not be benefiting from that. That should really be targeted towards citizens
to those who need
that,
it the most.
that assistance.
Yeah.
And it is also based on a bi-monthly basis. The new system that the RIC is recommending as proposed,
it will be on a monthly
it
basis.
will be a monthly
People
basis. So therefore, we now have to look at the rebate model and to make a final recommendation. And it gives us an opportunity as the government and as the Ministry of Public Utilities to recommend a rate structure, to recommend a subsidy structure that is more targeted towards citizens who really desire the assistance of the state.
And I think, Minister, as we bring the interview to a close, one of the things that is needed absolutely, some kind of communication from the Ministry of Public Utilities and TNTech to help people to understand how they could actually conserve electricity as well. Yes?
So, what I can also tell you is that the proposal by the RIC is to encourage citizens to conserve, because you have the power to control the amount of lights that you have on, your television, your air condition, and what have you. And the way it is proposed, the more kilowatts per hour you consume, you pay more. But you can bring that down. And the less that you bring, and if you come down at certain tiers, then the increase will not be significant as opposed to if you consume more.
Minister, one last question, just to go back to the TSTT thing. Have you identified the persons who are going to be on that investigating team?
So the board has formed a subcommittee, and they have identified a local company that would play a significant role in investigating the matter, but there is a national security component that must be examined. We must make a determination as to what potential implication it is going to have for the national security of Trinidad and Tobago. And I am intent on looking and speaking to some international partners to recommend someone that is from outside of Trinidad and Tobago to come in and make that determination for us. So it is going to look at TSTT and their systems and to make recommendations as to what they must do to prevent this from happening, look at their communication after it was detected, whether their communication was straightforward and honest with the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, and there will be the component that will look ideally at the issue of national security.
Minister, thanks very much. That's all the time we have. Thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
We hope that we'll see you again sometime
I'm looking
soon
forward to a warm invitation again.
And this time we'll try to have something for you to...
Bacon, saltfish, and perhaps we can do mass in the chapel after.
Thanks very much. Thanks very much for staying with us. We have with us Minister Marvin Gonzalez. We'll join you after the break. Thanks for staying with us. Here's a look now at what's in store in your Catholic news this week with Associate Editor Simone DeLochan.
In the Catholic news this weekend, read about the Celots Vocational School, an initiative by the Archdiocese of Port Spain to give the Celots community a path to gain marketable skills. And look out for the ways you can manage your diet to avoid diabetes with our dietitian, Cherise Bronte-Tinque. I am Simone DeLochan, Associate Editor of the Catholic News.
And remember to pick up an extra copy of the Catholic News and share with a friend or your neighbor. And also remember you can catch a repeat of this program on Sunday evenings at 3 o'clock, right here on Trinity TV. As we close, we leave you with the sights and sounds from the Love Movement, who held their 51st anniversary concert at Queen's Hall last weekend in the concert series entitled Love, the Greatest Gift. We leave you with these sounds. Have a good week, everyone.